Okay, we want to take them with food.
Yep.
Let's dive into specifics of what we want to look for in an omega-3 supplement.
Sure. Well, I guess imagine that you're walking down the aisle and at Costco or drugstore somewhere, and you're looking at the supplements, and here are all these omega-3 things. Some of them say just omega-3, and that could be misleading because it could be just the plant omega-3, alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, that is not a substitute for EPA and DHA. It doesn't do the same things. It's a shorter version of EPA that's very poorly converted in the body up to EPA and DHA. So if you're looking at a bottle, make sure you look at a bottle that's got to at least say something about fish or krill or marine or ocean or something like that. It's got to come from fish. And so you're looking for EPA and DHA, and you're only going to see it typically on the back side, on the back panel of the product. Many products will say 1,000 milligrams on the label, which simply means that the capsule contains 1,000 milligrams of oil, not 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, because EPA and DHA are a subset of the oils in fish oil. The most common, I guess the cheapest versions of omega-3 capsules will have about 30% EPA and DHA, 300 milligrams per 1,000 milligram capsule. So just need to be aware of that. It's nothing wrong with it. It's if you're going to try and take 1,000 or 1,500 milligrams, you're going to be taking, maybe 10, 5, 6, 7 capsules a day, which is a lot. And there are more efficient ways to do it. So look on the back of the panel to see how much EPA and DHA is in the product. And the first thing you look at is not necessarily the EPA and DHA level, but the serving size indicated. So it's usually the top line of that nutrition facts panel. What do they consider a serving? Well, if they consider a serving one pill, then the omega-3 levels that are reported below is how much is in one pill. But if a serving size is 3 pills, then you got to divide those EPA and DHA levels shown on the facts panel by 3 to get how much per capsule. So that's just something people need to look at. I think the other thing to think about is just some people worry about the ratio of EPA to DHA in an omega-3 supplement. I don't get real exercised about that. Whether it's a little rich in EPA or a little richer in DHA, I don't think is hugely important. I think I would definitely get both of them. I mean, I don't think it's smart just to take DHA or just to take EPA when you could take both of them together. That they always come that way in nature and fish. They're always together. So I think there's a good reason to include both of them in the supplement.
Okay. Important that you highlighted the fact that we can't just look at the front of the bottle and see total milligrams. We want to actually see the DHA and EPA. You're saying the ratio there isn't as important, but we want both. When we add those two numbers together for an average dose for an adult, what number would you look for?
What would I think would be a good omega-3 intake for an adult?
Yeah, if we add up the EPA and DHA on the back of the bottle, what do we want to shoot for?
I think a good place to aim for is 1,000 milligrams. I mean, I think that's, that's 3 of the really cheap pills. That's not outrageous. You can get pills that have higher concentration of omega-3 in them. So you only have to take maybe 1 or 2. But you'll pay more money for them because it costs more for the manufacturer to concentrate the omega-3s more in the pill. But, and if you aim for 1,000 milligrams, you're probably going to hit 500 or 600 milligrams in reality because you'll forget to take them. Yada, 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 which was good. We're working on a project right now trying to look at the worldwide medical literature and see what intake, the dietary intake, this is food primarily, is associated with the lowest risk for cardiovascular disease outcomes. And it seems that it's going to be around 500 to 600 milligrams a day. So I would aim higher than that in the hopes of actually hitting that.
Okay, you mentioned Costco there. How big of a concern is quality? If somebody is going to go out after this, buy Kirkland, go to Costco and get a big Costco-sized bottle of capsules.
Yeah.
You hear about rancidity. Obviously, when it comes to any supplement or food, we want the best quality we can get. There's things like wild-caught, organic. How much do you look at quality?
I try to major in the majors. Quality is important, but what if it's going to cost you $3 a pill to get high quality omega-3, and you say, well, I can't afford that, so I'm not going to take any, then no. If it's going to cost you 50 cents or 25 cents a pill to get maybe not the highest quality, but good enough, the rancidity problem is not a problem. It's not a health problem. If I can just take a quick rabbit trail down a study that really kind of amazed me that was done in Norway on this question of fish oil rancidity. And these investigators, we're going to hit this thing with a sledgehammer. So they designed a study where they took fish oil, normal fish oil out of capsules. They put it in a beaker on the desktop and bubbled oxygen through it, which is an extreme oxidation that never happens in real life. They then, did that for a day or something. It really oxidizes the bejesus out of this stuff, put it back in capsules, and then took two groups of people, randomly gave half of them this oxidized fish oil and the other half the regular stuff before that wasn't oxidized. And then they measured oxidation products in the blood after about 4 to 6 weeks. You couldn't find anything. Nothing showed up. The body handled whatever was there and took care of it, at least from a blood level point of view. Now, that's an extreme case, but I think it makes the point that the very tiny amounts of oxidation you might get, or quote rancidity, is not going to hurt you, and you're really not diminishing. It takes, to get a fishy smell in a fish oil product, it really doesn't even come from the omega-3s breaking down. It comes from other products. But your nose is so incredibly sensitive to these molecules. You can have 10 molecules of something that's rancid and you can smell it, but it doesn't affect the quality, the EPA and DHA content of the product at all. So I know different companies want to sell. Well, they sell a higher concentrated, purified product, and they want to get paid for it. Costs more money. I get that. But I would not get overly concerned about getting the highest quality possible. I don't take Costco product. I take some stuff that we sell from OmegaQuant called Parasol Omega-3 fish oil. And that's a good product. But some of the stuff from Costco's, I don't. Just like you hear me trying to say it, I'm just not that concerned about it. I'd rather have people taking something than nothing.
Okay. So oxygen, not a problem. Other variables I can think of, light, temperature.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about those?
It's just good practice. They all come in opaque bottles, so the light, they should come in an opaque bottle. Light exposure should be reduced. But the gelatin capsule that these things are encapsulated with is completely impervious to oxygen or any other compound getting in there. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it's just wise to keep these things in a cool, dark place, like the label says. You don't have to freeze them. Freezing them is not going to reduce any burping. And that's one way you can kind of tell a perhaps lower quality product is if you get that fishy burp after taking the fish oils. Typically, if you take them with food, you don't get so much of that. Take it on an empty stomach, not a great idea.
Do we know what's happening there with the burps and the lower quality?
Again, some of these other, they may be oxidation products, but they're not oxidations of omega-3. They're oxidation of other molecules in the oil. They get released in the stomach when this capsule dissolves, and they're very volatile. You can smell them. And so if you get a burp of any kind, these things will come up and you'll taste them. And that I think is a general sign of a less than optimally purified product, but it's not a dangerous product. It's just annoying to me.
Do you find there's a difference between liquid and capsules?
You can certainly get a lot more omega-3 in with a liquid. There are a few products that are quite good. They are flavored and deodorized very well, and you really can't taste. I'm pretty sensitive to fish taste. Most of these oils, I can get a little whiff of the omega-3 or the classic fish flavor. So I don't use them. I'm not against them, but I think they've certainly improved a lot over the years. There's some emulsions that are very, very nicely flavored. You can't taste any omega-3 at all or any fish oil at all. And those are good. If you want to get big doses in quickly, liquid oils are the way to do it, no question.
Talk about the difference between ethyl ester and triglyceride forms of fish oils.
Sure, yeah. The natural, quote, form of an omega-3 of a fish oil is an oil. Oils are synonymous with the word triglyceride. When you think about vegetable oils or olive oil, those are all fundamentally 100% triglyceride. That's the chemical name for it. And what a triglyceride is simply a one molecule that has 3 fatty acids hooked to a 3-carbon backbone called glycerol, triglycerol. That's where that word comes from. And usually there's one omega-3 attached to a standard fish oil triglyceride, and then 2 non-omega-3, so that's the 30%. Comes EPA and DHA per gram of fish oil. So triglycerides are the natural form. Another natural form is a phospholipid, which is a similar molecule that just has 2 fatty acids on it, and one of them will be omega-3. That's what you kind of typically associate with krill oil is the phospholipids. But when you're eating salmon, mackerel, herring, whatever, you're getting the omega-3s in mostly a triglyceride form, but some phospholipids too. And that's great. That's very natural. Those are well absorbed. The ethyl ester form is the form that both of the pharmaceutical products, omega-3s, come in. One is called Lovesa, the other one's called Vasipa. But they're both ethyl esters. And so what's an ethyl ester? Well, what the manufacturers do is they take that raw fish oil and they chemically chop off all the fatty acids from off that 3-carbon glycerol backbone, throw away the glycerol, take the fatty acids, and they separate out all the EPA and DHA using certain chemical techniques. And then they hook the EPA and DHA back up to an ethanol molecule. Ethanol is alcohol. And that produces a very focused. You can now have just a 2-carbon, ethanol is a 2-carbon molecule stuck on the end of a fatty acid. And you can concentrate in one pill a lot more omega-3 that way without taking up space with those other fatty acids. So that's the ethyl ester. It's not as well absorbed, particularly in an empty stomach. It's very poorly absorbed in an empty stomach. So the ethyl esters really need to be taken with food for better absorption. But the triglyceride form is probably the best absorbed form. There's also a form you see out now. They're called restructured triglycerides, or sometimes reesterified. And those are in a triglyceride form, but what the manufacturer has done is after they chop off all the fatty acids from that glycerol backbone, they isolate the omega-3s, and then they hook them back up to not ethanol to make an ethyl ester, but hook it back up to a glycerol, a 3-carbon unit. And so you get a triglyceride that's got 3 fatty acids that are all omega-3 on it, which is not natural, never comes that way, but it is a more concentrated way to get omega-3 in a triglyceride form. So you'll pay more for those kind of products. But they're great. They're fine. They work very well.
What do you think about the difference between these pharmaceutical grade ones versus something you'd find at the health food store? Somebody comes to you saying, which one should I take?
Well, you can't get the pharmaceutical grades unless the doctor writes a script for it. Okay, so that's one thing. You can't just go buy them off the shelf. Although you can buy, particularly online, you can buy dietary supplement omega-3s, not pharmaceutical products. I mean, people talk about their product, their dietary supplement being pharmaceutical grade, which is a little bit of a fuzzy definition. It just means highly concentrated, and that's fine. But that term is not a formal term. I would go more for a triglyceride form that you can get, again, online. You can get them up to 70 or 80% concentrated EPA and DHA, which is the same concentration as EPA and DHA you get in a pharmaceutical product. So all things being equal, I'd try to get a dietary supplement that's highly concentrated EPA and DHA, at least up over 50%, ideally, meaning 500 milligrams of EPA and DHA per 1,000 milligram capsule.
You mentioned the fact you're currently taking a supplement your company makes.
Yeah.
If you couldn't get that, what are some other brands you trust?
Oh, heavens, many. Nordic Naturals, Carlson's, GC Reber is a manufacturer in Norway that makes great stuff. Pharma Marine, also in Norway, makes great omega-3 products. I'm having trouble thinking. I mean, I don't want to just pick on those two being the best. There are many that are high quality like that. There's a trade association called GOED, which is the Global Organization for EPA and DHA omega-3, and they have very high standards. Any member organization, and all the fish oil companies are most of them are members of GOED, and they all adhere to a same set of standards, internally agreed upon standards for fish oil. And anybody who's selling a GOED approved sample or fish oil supplement is good.
So you mentioned krill oil. You mentioned it's the phospholipid type of fat or oil. How would somebody know whether or not it's better for them to take fish oil versus krill?
Measure the omega-3 index.
But is one better? Is there certain populations you'd recommend one versus the other?
Not really, no. I think I would go with either one will give you omega-3s. Typically, you pay more per gram of omega-3. You just normalize it to that. Per gram of omega-3, you're probably going to pay more for a krill oil product than a fish oil product. Partly because it's just more expensive to make the krill oil products. It's just the way it is. That's the chemistry. But gram for gram, I think they're both very good in raising the omega-3 index. So you just have to decide which one you want to pay for and which one you want to use to normalize or optimize your omega-3 index.
How do you feel about cod liver oil?
It's got a long pedigree, that's for darn sure. It's been around a long, long time. It was historically it was given. I mean, it is obviously oil from a cod, and it's about 20% EPA and DHA, roughly, which is on the low end of omega-3 levels. But you don't take it in pills typically. You take a teaspoon of it, so you can get you get a gram of omega-3 and a teaspoon of cod liver oil. That's pretty good. Typically, it was given because of the vitamins A and D. That's why children in 2 or 3 generations back were getting cod liver oil. But I think it's okay. Again, taken as a liquid, you're going to be able to get a good dose of EPA and DHA out of it.
So it sounds like it just comes back to that number for the EPA, DHA, whether you're getting it through krill, cod, or fish oil.
Basically, that's right. It's not complicated.
Any thoughts on fermented cod liver oil?
Oh, no. Actually, I couldn't even tell you what the difference between fermented and non-fermented cod liver oil is from a fatty acid point of view. I don't know I've not seen any study comparing the absorption or effects on the omega-3 index of those two forms.
How about algal oil?
Algal oil?
Somebody using that in a form that provides EPA and DHA.
Yeah.
Any difference there, people that have done that and what you see in the testing?
No. Again, it's the chemical is the same. EPA and DHA are fixed chemical molecules, and kind of whether you get them from algae, and just to quickly explain why algae, and we're not talking about seaweed. That's not the kind of algae. This is there are very single-celled, microscopic algal organisms in the ocean that, and there are thousands of different species, but a few of the species naturally make, out of sunlight and sugar, basically, they will make EPA and DHA in these single-celled algae. And then the small ocean critters eat the algae, and then the little fish eat the little critters, and then the big fish eat the little fish, and up the chain it goes. And that's why seafoods, again, there's a range in seafoods, omega-3 content we may talk about, but that's the base of the ocean derived omega-3 chain. So some companies have said, well, let's forget killing fish, let's just grow these algae. And this has been going on for 20 years, and so they can get this specific strain of algae and put it in a big vat in Nevada or Arkansas or wherever, and feed them sugar and sunlight, and they'll make omega-3, and then the company has to go through the process of isolating the oil from this biomass and then getting the omega-3 out of it. So it's a complex and kind of expensive process, but at the end of the day, you end up with a capsule that's got a EPA and or DHA-rich triglyceride from algae, and it works just fine, gram for gram of omega-3.
Since you made it to the end of this clip, I know you're going to love the full episode. Click here to watch. I'll see you over there.
The omega-3 story really started in the 70s with cardiovascular disease. The omega-3s were really shown to do a variety of things. One is they lower levels of one of the blood fats called triglycerides, and lowering levels of that is